Hello everyone, my name is Nick and it's the 2-week roundup. I've just got these prescription sunglasses but they don't seem to be working. Anyway, let's speed this up a bit. Before we come to the top 6 games we looked at in this 2-week period, let's look at the pinball tables we had a look at. Yes, both Star Wars tables, Zen Pinball too, so we're getting a bit more speed here when I do these, rather than jibber-jabbering on a bit about sunglasses and stuff. Anyway, the first one we looked at was Rogue One, published by Zen Studios in 2017 and based on the Star Wars film Rogue One. There's some similarities in this table to A New Hope, which I reviewed quite some time ago on the PlayStation 3. This is being reviewed on the PlayStation 4, but follows the events of that movie, which came out in 2016, the year before, and it's set just before A New Hope, or even during it, where a gang of rebels must steal the Death Star plans so they can expose the weakness and then blow up the Death Star later on in A New Hope. Are you with me? No. Well, if you're a fan of Star Wars, you like this table. If you've never watched Star Wars in your life, if you're one of those people, or no fan of Star Wars, you won't know what the hell is going on. But it's an okay table. It's not too bad. There are better ones there, but I thought it was quite good. Yeah, it's all right, okay, really. The Death Star makes an appearance. There's extra characters there. I haven't played it too much, to be honest with you, just really a couple of times for that review, but I'll look forward to going back because in the central area, a few other characters pop up in all different missions, and I think it's well worth persevering with. Star Wars Rogue One, and it's certainly a film I'm going to get on Blu-ray when it comes out. Yes. Okay, and the second table, I always have to turn the music off on these Star Wars tables. It's a bit of a shame, really, because they're quite epic with the Star Wars music playing in the background, but I have to turn it off and it all seems a bit quiet. So sometimes it might not seem the table was quite as good, but you add the music in as well, and then it's fantastic. Damn YouTube content matching. Anyway, you have to be careful these days. The second table was, again, Star Wars. It's Rebels, based on the Star Wars cartoon, which is set between Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Episode 4, A New Hope, so just before Rogue One, essentially. There's two main characters, Ezra and the other one I've forgotten. I've never watched the cartoon by Disney. It's in its third series. It's supposed to be quite popular, although the general consensus is it's not as good as the Clone Wars. But in terms of the table, it's absolutely fantastic. It just edges it over Rogue One, I think, because all the game modes are really easy to unlock. You won't be playing this too long. You'll be unlocking TIE fighter fights, battles with stormtroopers, all sorts of stuff. And there's a really cool bit I unlocked where Ezra was trying to float or hover using the Force, the pinballs there to get 4 in a row, and when he did, it turned into some amazing multi-ball. So out of those two tables, if you can just get one, I'd buy Rebels, but you know, with the glory of the Star Wars music behind it, all computer games generally are good with that. Try and buy both of them. So that's the pinball tables this time round. And in the top 6, because we review more than 6 games now, there's always going to be 2 games that don't quite make it. So in no particular order, we'll cover those first of all, just in case you disagree and want them higher up. First one was Fighting Soccer on the ZX Spectrum 128K. Now, the ZX Spectrum is always going to struggle, I think, with football games, because it hasn't got too much memory, albeit this be on the 128K, but it's got to make a playable game. Great computer AI for all the players. It's got to be playable and it's got to be inventive the way you score goals. This is a bit messy. It's a bit hard to see where you're going. I did score a goal in the first 10 seconds and eventually I think, I don't know, either boredom or something like that. When you score a goal, it says nice shot, it says nice shoot, but I've been told that that's in the arcade version as well. Unfortunately, that comment that said it was about the arcade version went into my spam section, and YouTube have recently updated it, so I can't override it, say what's not spam, what's not. So thank you for that comment, but I did read it. There we go. Nice shoot. This game is pretty messy, to be honest with you. I didn't enjoy it. It's tough to play. I reviewed it on the Commodore Amiga a little way back, and it was slightly better on that, although my complaint of that one, it was too easy. But compared to the Spectrum version, that Amiga version is pretty good. I never thought I'd hear myself saying that. Now, the other game that didn't quite make it is a PD game on the Commodore Amiga, Super PACMAN 92 by Pendle Europa in 1992. It's an unofficial tie-in license to Pac-Man. They never got any permission, which so they didn't. But the thing with this game, it might have been programmed on Amos, which is a computer language. It's not very controllable. The controls are not very precise. It's a bit slippery. It's got sound effects which sometimes don't tie into the gameplay. Instead of picking up a big power pill, it's an acid pill, so that's drug related. I have to be a bit easy on these PD games if I criticise them, because normally it's just one or two people doing it for fun, just to show if they can make the game, then they release it. So it's not some big commercial thing, and quite often they're sold for next to nothing. So Super Pac-Man 92 didn't make the top 6, although for one person on their own, it's okay. Okay, the top 6. I've already spent much longer than what I was doing. It's maybe I've got eye problems due to those prescription glasses. Everything seems 3D. In 6th place, we have a game that pretty disappoints me. It was lucky to get in the top 6. It's Grand Prix Circuit on the ZX Spectrum 128K. I absolutely loved this game on the Commodore Amiga. It was a predecessor to Test Drive 2, which I played a lot in my youth at school there. I don't know what I was expecting from the Spectrum version, but it's okay, but it's not. I felt let down. The engine sounds are never going to be that great on the ZX Spectrum, although when you hit top speed on this, you got like boo, and after a while that's pretty annoying if you're driving a Formula 1 car. I had it on easy mode, and to give myself a bit of an extra challenge, I let the cars overtake me once I got pole position. But all the way round, they were driving side by side, so I just could not overtake. And every time I tried to overtake, I crashed into it, getting a bit of damage. And it's just so annoying, which is a damn shame. Maybe if I put it on a more difficult setting, it might jump to life. But although it looked graphically from screenshots, I can't put it any further than 6th place because I just felt let down. In 5th place, Chuckie Egg 2 on the ZX Spectrum 48K, published by A&F Software in 1985. No, it's the sequel, not the to the original Chuckie Egg, sometimes called Chockie Egg, and I remember from my youth this being terrible. It's better now I've gone back to it. It's not as terrible as I thought. You could pretty much say as Jet Set Willy was to Manic Miner, Chuckie Egg 2 is to Chuckie Egg, because it's more, instead of single screens, you're exploring a vast area. Sometimes called Chockie Egg because Henhouse Harry, your main character, has to go into a chocolate factory once he's got past that guard dog and find different components going from different screens to actually make the eggs and the toys that go in the eggs. So that's just like an Easter type game for you. It's very difficult. I had a cheat mode on for infinite strength, which I sometimes do to show you a bit more of the game if I'm completely hopeless at it. And this poke, once I felt from a great height, it just zipped onto a different screen. But I showed you a few different screens here. Graphically it's okay, sound it's okay, but just so hard. If the difficulty level was lower, I probably might have put it higher up, because it could be quite a cute game there. Chuckie Egg 2, if you can get hold of it, it's well worth doing it for nostalgia reasons, but I much prefer the original Chuckie Egg. That was more, well, it was a better idea, to be honest with you. It worked better at single games collecting the eggs. And in 4th place is MERCS on the Commodore Amiga, published by US Gold. Now, whenever you got a US Gold conversion, the fear is the most. This came out in 1991. It's not a perfect conversion, that goes without saying. Graphically, it looks great. It looks brilliant graphically. It's not a bad game to play. That's why I probably got it in 4th place. It just moves a bit slow compared to the Sega Mega Drive version and indeed the arcade version. There's bits missing. The sound isn't quite as beefy, but it's all right. It's a sequel to Commando. It's a bit better than that conversion, I would say. It doesn't blow me away. The levels are quite short, but it's okay for what it is. You can do 1 or 2 players. The arcade cabinet, there was an option of 3 players. I've never played it on the arcade, but it would be good to do so at some point. I would love to do a review of me actually in an arcade, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Unless I get rich or something, I can buy the games myself. I'd love to play hard driving and race driving and Moonwalker and all those sort of ones. Get MAME set up, Nick. Well, maybe I could do. Okay, so that's so. In 6th place this time, in summary, was Super Pac-Man 92 on the Commodore Amiga, 1992. 5th place, Chuckie Egg 2 on the Spectrum 48K by A&F Software in 1985. And in 4th place was MERCS, a run and gun by US Gold in 1991. So, the top 3 then. In third place is a banger racer on a ZX Spectrum 48K, published by Cult Games in 1990. Now this is a management game, so you either like them or you don't. It has been said before that it's a little bit like playing a spreadsheet. A bit like playing a spreadsheet. It's a bit like playing a spreadsheet, and I can see that. There's a lot going on in the background there, whether it be football managements, Formula 1 managements, or racing managements. It's there. And as a kid, I think, I didn't own it as a kid, but I think I would have been fully engrossed in this. You control a driver in a banger race season, and after the race is simulated, so you ain't got too much control over it by getting loans, upgrading your car, buying new cars, training your driver. You can gradually get better over a 30 race season. What's good in this game, which you didn't get in a lot of Spectrum games, you can save it through the seasons. You don't have to start from scratch again. And I think the addictiveness for a kid is a lot what goes in your own mind there, creating the season outside of the game, which you often did as a kid. You got totally engrossed in it and you built a whole story around it, and you was actually there. I think I would have played about 4 or 5 seasons of this, maybe even more, and eventually got good until I eventually started winning races. But in my review, it did crash a lot. Well, the game didn't crash, my car crashed, and you have to put quite a lot of time in it. But it's a clever game, and what it attempts to do, it does really well. That's Banger Racer by Cult Games, well worth checking out. Near the end of the Spectrum's run, 1990. Okay. In second place, stepping up in the graphics here, is Super Army War by Atlas in 2005. A lot of these games I reviewed due to people recommending them, and I do write them down. I think this was a recommendation as well. I do get to them eventually. This is by, as I say, Atlas in 2005 on the Game Boy Advance. It's a 2D game. You control a helicopter, sometimes an airplane, over your advancing troops, and you must defeat the advancing troops of the enemy. So as further you get, you capture bunkers and all that sort of stuff. You shoot tanks by diving down, the enemy trying to shoot you, and as I say, just need to get from right to left. It doesn't seem to be too much to it when I explain that, but please watch the review. It's quite good. Bear in mind this is a handheld and it works really well. Controlling the airplane in stage 2 is pretty tricky, but you know, it's well worth persevering with. It's a good army strategy game. If I bought that back in the day, I wouldn't have been disappointed. It's quite good. Yeah, it's quite impressive for a Game Boy Advance game, but it couldn't really come first due to the sheer brilliance of the first game we're going to come to in a moment. Okay, so what did come first? I think sometimes it's a bit unfair comparing PlayStation 3 games and PlayStation 4 games to the retro games. The retro games are always going to get more views because it's nostalgia. It's easier to get nostalgia for something a few years back, or even like 10, 30 years back sometimes in the games I review, rather than the game that came out 6 months ago. But we will continue doing the modern ones and look back. I'm not sure if I'll always include the PlayStation 4 games when eventually you look at them in the top 6. We probably pull that separately. Anyway, so what come first this time? It was brilliant. Alien Isolation on the PlayStation 3. Been meaning to review this for quite some time. By Sega in 2014, based on the original Alien, directed by Ridley Scott from the late 70s. What can I say? It's a first-person shooter stealth horror game. It's a great story mode. You play the part of Amanda Ripley, who's the daughter of Ellen Ripley from the movies. You're on a ship that's identical to the Nostromo, and walking around there, you'd think you're actually in the film. Sound is taken from the film. You're pretty much in it. A new story where you must investigate some space station where you think you've lost contact, and there's an alien aboard. Brilliant. Now, I didn't get as far in the story to show the alien, so near the end of the review, I jumped into a different mode, and the alien was there, and well, I won't spoil it for you, but I might have got killed a couple of times. I might not have done. This game is absolutely epic. I did ask in the video if anyone's completed it, and a couple of people had so far in terms of recording this. Yeah, I so need to get to the end of that. I probably won't record it all to put it up, but in my own time I will actually come to that. And this game's phenomenal. It really is a good game on PlayStation 3. Also available on the PlayStation 4, but the reason I bought this a while back was it was in the sale. I probably won't buy it on the PlayStation 4 as well, but if you do, because I don't want it on both, but you know, if you do buy it on PlayStation 4, it's probably lifted. The graphics are much higher. Available on the PC as well, and I believe Xbox One. Great stuff. So yes, in third place this time round was Banger Racer by Colt Games in 1990 on the ZX Spectrum. Second place, Super Army War by Atlas in 2005. And in first place, the amazing Alien Isolation on the PlayStation 3, published by Sega in 2014. If you're keeping an eye on the Amiga Revisited series that we're doing, you also would have seen Kickoff 2 and Lotus Turbo Challenge 2, and they're absolutely epic games as well. So I hope you like the mix of games I've been bringing you this 2-week period. We will keep soldiering on. The videos going up at the weekend and, well, every day now, somehow. Thanks for watching as always. If you've got any comments about those or any comments about any of the videos, then put them below there. I do tend to answer them most of the time. And until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.